call of the Hogs can be heard all the way to San Francisco.
You're listening to Pod at the Palace with Curtis Wilkerson on Inside Arkansas.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Tuesday, and welcome back to the Pod at the Palace presented by Inside Arkansas. I'm your host, Curtis Wilkerson, but you guys know that already. How we doing this morning? Everybody feeling good? Feeling super with the Super Regionals coming into town. Arkansas hosting after just a dominant performance in their home regional over the course of the weekend. Was a lot of fun being back down there at Baum, but we do have basketball to talk about for sure. We'll let you guys know off the top. If you're listening to this on Tuesday morning, you're probably going to want to tune in to Inside Arkansas Live Tuesday at noon because the inmates are running the asylum. It's just me and Andrew. John's got some stuff going on, so he's going to be out of pocket here on Tuesday. So me and Andrew, I'm sure it will not get off the rails at all without John there to police us and keep us in line. But always fun when me and Andrew can get on and just riff a little bit. So we're definitely looking forward to it. And tune in, come tap in with us. It'll be fun. Hey, today's episode of the Pod at the Palace is brought to you guys by our partners over at Bryant Technologies, your home for all network and security needs. You know, Bryant is dedicated to delivering high quality network infrastructure and security camera solutions, taking pride in their exceptional workmanship and commitment to keeping your business operations seamlessly connected and secure. Whether it's structured cabling, security cameras, digital signage, or TV mounting, they have you covered over at Bryant. They service the entire state of Arkansas as well as all of Arkansas's bordering states. Have Bryant help you with all of your network and security needs. How do you get a hold of them? Give them a call, 870-883-0330. Check out their website, www.bryantstechnologies.com, or just use the QR code right there in the top right-hand corner of your screen. It'll take you right where you need to be. Let's get into it. All right. Man, getting settled back in just a little bit from what was really a long but eventful and fun-filled weekend of baseball. But let's start with some news and notes to get a little bit caught up, and then we'll get into to our topic of the day today. So not a whole lot of crazy out there in the world of college basketball, honestly, although a few more names that we kind of had listed to monitor have come off the board. If you remember the day after Adu Thero announced, hey, I'm not running back at Arkansas. Sorry, folks. I know you'd love that. Ain't happening. Going to the draft, starting my pro career, and we wish him good luck. We kind of posted 5 names to keep an eye on with the Razorbacks who would make sense, who would kind of fit for what you're looking for. Maybe there if you want a backup 4, whether it's a stretch guy, whatever. And immediately one of the international players came off the board, like 2 hours after we wound up posting our episode, went to Mississippi State, good pickup for Chris Jans. And then over the weekend, the 2 North Carolina guys, honestly, came off the board as well. So Cade Tyson, which I noticed we had kind of a growing contingent here that was intrigued by the 6'7" sharpshooter, is officially off to Minnesota. And then Ben Allen Lubin, who for my money was the best available in the portal, especially, by way of forwards remaining, he officially committed to American gangster Will Wade. He's going over to NC State. They're looking pretty good over there. So a couple updates there for you on that standpoint. And Arkansas remains in the hunt. Just because a couple guys came off the board doesn't mean anything. I've got my eyes. We've obviously are keeping tabs on the reclass situation with Mika. Is he going to do it? Is he not? Conflicting reports out there. So we'll see if he does. Hey, eyes on Arkansas to be a player in that game for sure. And, other international prospects, we listed a handful the other day. I would imagine that would be the route that they go. The portal feels it's picked clean. And maybe there's some guys who are waiting on that 5th year eligibility ruling to come through and some specific cases there. But I would really have to kind of dig in deep to see if there's anybody that makes sense, maybe a mid-major up transfer that's still out there, something. Off the top though, man, the impact guys seem to be, there's not a lot of meat left on that bone in the transfer portal, if you will. So we'll keep tabs on it for sure. What else? I've now seen every Razorback basketball player in person the last couple days, with the exception of Malik Ewan. He's the only one that I haven't seen yet. Did see Nick Pringle Sunday night roaming around down there at Baum. Absolute hoss, big fella. He is absolutely not lighter than Trevin Brazil in the weight department. He's just not. Okay. Although he also does not look nearly as hefty as that team pick made him appear to be. looks good. Looks like the Nick Pringle we all know and love. So looking forward to seeing him in a basketball uniform instead of kicking it at baseball. But I'll be interested to see if the squad's out there for the Super this weekend. It was pretty cool seeing, a group of them. There were 4 or 5, 6 Razorback basketball players just kind of roaming around the entire time. I know they were throwing T-shirts to the fans, sitting down by the dugout one game. They're in the concourse taking pictures with people and, signing autographs for fans and stuff. It was really cool to see them out and about. And I know they felt the love. So like that a lot. Looking for some scheduling news, some official scheduling news to be coming out here very soon on a number of fronts. The SEC opponent rotation was released May 13th last year, and we don't have that yet this year. I'm thinking with the spring meetings and Destin being over, that probably is going to get released here pretty soon. It could be surprising. It could be exactly what we expect. Like, will they keep the exact same schedule as last year and just flip the locations like they did for football? So like Kentucky would be coming to Arkansas, Tennessee would be coming to Arkansas. You would be going to Alabama. Auburn would be coming here, just kind of flipping the script. Or will they mix it up a little bit? Don't know for sure. I anticipate that they're probably just going to flip it, but we'll see. We'll see what it looks like. The SEC ACC challenge. We know Arkansas is going to host an ACC team. Those matchups were an early June release last year. So why wouldn't it be the same thing here? So we should get that opponent announcement at any time. We've talked about all the different possibilities there. What would be cool? What would stink? What's good for the resume? Regardless, been a while since Arkansas has had some pretty cool non-conference opponents coming into Bud Walton Arena. Well, it just hasn't happened in the Cal era just yet. And you're going to get, a power conference opponent, somebody from the ACC coming into Bud. We're waiting on an official date for the Baylor game. We'll see what else, Cal pulls out of his hat there. Will they get, who will they get at Madison Square Garden? Be excited to see who that is. If Cal wants to play there, he's going to play there. I feel pretty confident in that. I've heard one pretty well-known basketball brand out there in the East thrown around, but it would be cool, but maybe slightly underwhelming compared to what you might expect. So we'll see, but that stuff should be coming to fruition here soon. I'm honestly surprised with all the schedule leaks that have come out. We don't have anything from the Arkansas front just yet. Also, shout out to On3 for being the gift that keeps on giving, right? If you like a, freshly made poop just delivered into a box with a bow put on it, man, they stink at rankings. It's I don't know what they're doing over there. They updated their rankings again for the class of 2026, and just, I don't know if they didn't watch JJ Andrews play, if he doesn't exist, what the deal is, but he's at number 39 there. And this is not homerism. It's just criminally low for JJ. It's just further hammering home the growing sentiment that they simply do not know ball over there. And I hate to be that way. I hate to be that guy, but my goodness. I mean, it's every single ranking, whether it's, teams or favorite foods or players, in a particular class, any single ranking that comes out, it's going to get nitpicked, right? Not everybody's going to agree. No matter what it is or who does it, but there's a difference in that, and it just being flat out bad and nonsensical. What exactly do you need to see from JJ Andrews besides, efficient and consistent dominance of the best circuit in the country through multiple events at this point against the best players in the country on one of the most, highly regarded and respected programs in the country at Brad Bill Elite? I don't know. Once again, the rest of the country is catching on to JJ Andrews here, and On3's just hanging out in left field looking at butterflies as an outlier. It's kind of ridiculous, honestly. I would hope and think that if he continues to do what he's doing, first of all, it doesn't matter where he's ranked. I mean, we see it. We do know ball over here, and watching him, I think fans are getting more and more excited about what's to come, for the home state kid in a Razorback uniform. I don't care if he's ranked 180th or first in his class. He's a really good basketball player, but you just like to see him get the type of love and respect that he deserves. And hopefully that comes from all fronts here soon. Hey, there was an article as we kind of shift gears into the topic of the day here on CBS Sports from Isaac Trotter, who you guys have heard me talk about before. Really, really like his stuff. that I wanted to use to kind of springboard us into today's topic. If that makes sense. What he did was he ranked the SEC teams in tiers. And let me pull up the graphic here. Where's it at? There we go. Okay, so you can see it right there. Ranked them into tiers, so you can see title contenders was his tier 1. He's got just Florida and Kentucky. And you'll notice right away, the Razorbacks are not in there. They're in that second tier, which he has his top 25 caliber teams, joining Tennessee, Alabama, and Auburn. Tier 3 is kind of his NCAA tournament teams, what it appears to be his locks, on paper. So Vanderbilt, Missouri, and Oklahoma. The Bubblicious squads, interesting. Mississippi State, Ole Miss, Texas A&M, and Georgia. And then the basement, once again, LSU and South Carolina. All right. So, interesting, right? Let me pull up what he says about Arkansas, and then we'll kind of take it from there. So there we go. And I'll read it out loud, obviously. I know people are listening to the audio version as well. He says, Arkansas's blend makes plenty of sense. John Calipari retained 4 rotation players from a tournament team, landed 2 5-star guards, and used the portal to plug gaps in the front court. Number 5 rated recruit Darius Acuff looks primed to rock and roll as a double-digit producer from the jump, and Knox looks destined for a sophomore surge. Arkansas should be a bit more balanced this year. Pringle, Brazil, Richmond, Knox, and Wagner are good enough to keep the floor high defensively. There's more on-ball juice with Acuff and Thomas, combined with the interior scoring punch that Ewan should provide to improve a half-court offense that rated outside the top 170 last year in efficiency per synergy. Arkansas has at least 8 dudes who can play. It wouldn't be surprising at all if this group finishes as one of the top 25 offenses and defenses, assuming everything gels. It's a good team. With the right developments, Arkansas could be a great team. Okay. Very interesting. Well written, honestly. I kind of feel like it's a pretty fair assessment. And I got pretty excited about some of the things he said about, hey, the potential is there for a top 25 offense and defense. That's usually part of the formula to doing some pretty special things there. And there are other parts about it where you can see he's given just a little bit of pause, probably conservative with some of the other things that he wrote about other teams as well. I didn't read every single one of those just yet. So I don't know, being in that 3 to 6 range in the SEC is nothing to sneeze at. And it'd be an uptick from where you were last year. And we know all the circumstances involved there. And of course, this is just one man's opinion. I think Isaac does a really good job. He's not the end all be all. There's plenty of other polls and thought processes out there, some higher, some lower on the Razorbacks. But my question to you, based on what we saw just there, Razorback fans, is how does it make you feel seeing that? You know what I mean? I just, knowing who your coach is, knowing what your resources are, understanding what the goal is supposed to be here. Are you satisfied with that final statement, if that were to be true? Right? It's a good team that could be great with the right developments. Are you satisfied with that? Do you agree with Isaac's line of thinking here? Personally, I think me and him are pretty close to being on the same wavelength here with Arkansas for the potential being there if things break the right way. But I'm not sure just yet if I look at this roster on paper and say, yep, Final Four team. Doesn't mean they can't get there. Doesn't mean I don't think they're going to have a great season. Doesn't mean I don't see the potential. But we're talking about on paper, like the fewest amount of questions to where it's like, oh yeah, no, this team right here could do it. Not if A, B, C, D, and E criteria all fall into place for you. So I think it's perfect timing actually for this story to come out. If you guys remember, it was just about a month ago that we did our offseason satisfaction scale. Basically thinking about Arkansas's, just areas of weakness from last year, what we knew their priorities were going into the offseason, things that we certainly assumed that they wanted to address or maybe should address. And we broke it down into categories. We did a 1 to 10 scale on each one of them based on what, Cal and the staff had done up to that point. And what I said at the time was, hey, we're doing this now. We'll give it about a month, get past that NBA draft withdrawal deadline, and then we'll run it back and see where the improvements are. So let's do that, right? It seems like a perfect time. What has changed since the last time we've done this? Hadn't been a whole hell of a lot of news. Has there? Carter Knox is officially back, right? Nobody else of consequence has been added yet. Doesn't mean it won't happen, but yet. And I've also done, more deep dives since then into our freshmen for just kind of a better big picture view of where things stand. So in terms of the scale, some of my thought processes have changed. So let's roll through these and see if you guys feel the same, better, worse, whatever. And we'll start with retention, right? Because we knew that was a big deal for the Razorbacks. We knew that was something that they really, really were placing a heavy premium on going into the offseason. And as you can see, I've bumped that from the first time we did this from a 7 to a 9 in terms of satisfaction for me, with Carter Knox officially coming back into the fold. I didn't count him in last time because I didn't want to count our chickens before they hatched, even though we felt pretty good about them, right? That's fair, don't you think? I mean, I guess I could have gone with the 10, but what I said at the time is like the 10 for me would be if, by some chance you got a do back or whatever, just really, really over the top type of stuff. But this is fantastic. I mean, it's hard to see Arkansas leading the SEC by a fairly wide margin in returning minutes. As you can see, they're 47.6% of their minutes returning. That is by far the most in the SEC. It's hard to see that and not be just extremely pleased with what you have coming back off a team. Hey, sometimes you don't want a lot of retention, right? If you stink, you don't want all those guys back. If it didn't make sense, or if you had chemistry issues or bad eggs or whatever, that wasn't the case with Arkansas. And they really figured some things out, made it to a Sweet 16, to play away from an Elite 8. And the guys you were playing that you're bringing back were arguably, 4 of your best players at that time. They were the guys who were the most consistently healthy and were there and available for you for the entire season when you were dealing with injuries and everything else. So I like it. And, especially when retention's been such a key ingredient to success with deep NCAA tournament runs here recently. And, like I know a lot of folks out there like to say, oh, Cal whiff, with Boogie and Thero. And we talked about it, like, that's not really fair, is it? The Boogie situation was all about timing of his decisions. And, there was never going to really be a scenario where Boogie and DJ would make sense with Acuff and Thomas. I would love to see it. Not my problem in terms of figuring it out. Just give me all the talent in the world. But we knew that coming into it. And, if Boogie returned, DJ probably would have left, almost certainly. And no, that does not mean that Cal chose DJ over Boogie. It means Boogie was expected to go pro when he declared. And then when he opted to enter the transfer portal, it was after Arkansas had moved on with their offseason plans, right? Adu Thero, same thing. We don't have to go too deep on it. We've talked about it. Was never really expected back. We knew that he was projected, late first, early second when he declared for the draft. But he was on the border there and wound up choosing to stay in the draft when virtually every single player in a similar position to him wound up coming back to school. It's just kind of the way that it shook out. We didn't know that was going to happen, but it turned out that was the case. So that doesn't change the way we felt about Adu's situation, his choice in general, like his line of thinking and where he was at going into it. We knew that he'd had his breakout year. We knew his stock may be as high as it was going to be. Makes sense to take the leap. It just stings a little bit for some when you see him gone, when most of the SEC returned their guys who were in similar spots. So you can't ding Cal for that. And obviously, Arkansas also had Carter Knox, who was, declaring for the draft there, and he's back. And that was the big one. Had to get Carter back. That was the biggest piece of the puzzle going into the offseason, and they got him. So job well done on that standpoint. The next one is depth. Now, I can't ding him for, the Thero situation, and I won't. But what I can ding him for is, doing nothing else yet, at least. So I've bumped him up just a little bit here, from a 5 to a 6, right? And, and that's just by putting some more thought into this. I mean, it's not like they've gone out here and really added anyone of consequence at this point. So the reason I gave him a little bit of a bump here, I'm more and more comfortable with the idea of Isaiah Sealy being a part of this mix. Just, the more I hear, the more I watch, the more people I talk to, seeing him and seeing that height, the plus length, he's filled out. He's not just a twig in there. Seeing him amongst his peers, like the other guys on the team, he just looks like a dude that belongs. And, that helps me because it makes me more confident in being able to, if Arkansas were to lose a guard for whatever reason, you got to do the thing where you move Billy back in as kind of your, backup point guard or whatever, or Carter moves up and plays more at the 2. I just feel a lot better about Arkansas being able to do something like that and having to flex guys to other positions and still being able to cover the wing minutes effectively. Because I think Sealy's going to be a guy who's going to be able to help him some. I don't know that it's going to be anything crazy. I hope it is. I hope he balls out. But I think there's a role to be had there for him without a drop off. Because anybody can play. You can put anybody in a game, but is there a major drop off? And I'm becoming more and more confident that would not be the case with a guy like Isaiah Sealy in there. So there's that. But for now, and we know that they're on the prowl, looking around to see if they could make another addition here. But until it changes, it's hard for me to rationalize putting yourself in a position where you have such razor thin margins for error at some key spots. Again, when you simply just don't have to do that. And so I go back to what Isaac Trotter was saying about, hey, yeah, like if things break right, if everything, things fall into place, everything works out, then the potential is there to be great. What you'll notice with some of these other teams is they might not be as talented, but they've got the options there to be able to absorb some of these blows, these unforeseen things that happen over the course of the season, a little bit better equipped to handle that than Arkansas. It doesn't make them a better team, but they can handle adversity a little bit better. So we'll see. Like no backup 4, really. It's kind of an arguably a thinner front court. You're just hoping that they stay healthy this time. And if they do, like if you don't have to go through a whole year with Pringle or Ewan being hurt, then yeah, maybe you're in a better spot there. Trevin being the third big, he was the third big last year, but he's also the only 4 this year right now. Like we kind of forget about Adu Thero's role in all of this, where he played so much at the 4 that it allowed you to be able to move TB down to the 5 when you needed to without missing a beat. Now it's a little bit more consequential with the trickle down. So, will they make an addition? I hope so. And if they do, I could really see myself bumping this up to, an 8 even, because I'm more comfortable now with the idea of, okay, you have a 9 if you include Sealy in there. And, I know Kareem Rattel's still there as well. And I see him, but what did I say about him the other day? He really looks like more of a wing than a big to me. Like, I don't know about playing the 4 a ton in the SEC unless he puts some weight on. And so we'll see. And he's got a whole, summer and offseason and preseason to do that and settle in. So not ruling it out, just not necessarily seeing it just yet. A little bit surprised that they haven't gone and even, gotten any of these talented available freshmen still out there for the back end, like no international project, no, low major guy with experience who's happy to be here, no high upside, whatever, just some sort of insurance policies in case things go awry. But understand what that means. You see right there at the bottom, short rotation versus short roster. I am not really bothered at all by a short rotation for Arkansas. I'm not. It's really not even that short compared to what others play. 8, 9 guys, great. That's all you need. There's not a lot of teams out there who still do the thing where they play like the Mike Anderson 10, 11 guys who are playing 18 to 22 minutes. The difference is, Arkansas doesn't really have the ability to replenish if needed. And it's also about the long game, right? It doesn't mean that they're going to get bit here and, and they're automatically screwed or no, not at all. Like I've said, put Arkansas's 8 on the floor against anyone else in the country on a given night. I really like Arkansas's chances. I think they're that good. But you got to do it 35 plus times to get to a Final Four. Can you hold up? right? Because, what some other teams have is more by way of reinforcements. Doesn't mean you have to have them. Doesn't mean you need them, but it's a nice luxury, right? And if you have the ability to do it, well, why haven't you? And that's why I'm hoping and holding out that they wind up making a move here. Whatever. Anyway, if I told you after the Texas Tech loss that, regardless of any other circumstances, that Arkansas would only add 2 more players during portal season, you wouldn't have believed me. Okay. And if you say that you aren't surprised that that's the case, or that you weren't expecting more, I'm sorry, you're lying to yourself. I mean, you just are. But they can fix all that with one more move, literally. The other couple that we had there, rebounding, that was such a major issue last year for Arkansas. Nothing has changed since our last update on that. We already had it at a 9, so nothing to add there. Malik Ewan, elite offensive rebounder. Nick Pringle, elite defensive rebounder. More physicality in the paint than they had last year. Trevin, the way he was rebounding at the end of the season, I'm good there. I don't think it's going to be an issue for Arkansas. Shooting, I had it at a 3 in our last update. Since then, though, we did all the math, right, on where improvements could come from organically, how the freshmen factor in, could they at least meet last year's, relatively low bar. So I'm going to bump that from a 3 to a 5. But that's as high as I can go for a team that had shooting as a very notable issue they complained about all season, and then did not add a single made 3-pointer in a college game to this roster yet, at least. Very surprised that it hasn't happened. Now, can Arkansas be as good of a shooting team as they were last year? Yes. Can they be slightly better? Yes. And go check out the episode that we did a few weeks ago about that. It's going to depend on a lot of things. Some organic improvement for sure. Malik Thomas becoming a sniper for sure. Darius Acuff giving you, a little bit of consistency there. If you have all those things, you'll be okay there. But this is not going to be a great shooting team. It's just not. Maybe one day we can remember what it's like to have a team that can just match the typical opponent from beyond the arc. It would be nice. I miss those days. It's been a long time. Fortunately, though, Arkansas has proven that there are other ways to win games by advancing to 4-second weekends in the last 5 years. Okay. They haven't been able to shoot any of these years, and they're one of the top, I don't know. How many teams have done that? How many teams have gone to, the Sweet 16 4 times in 5 years, at least, with a couple of Elite Eights mixed in there? Not a whole bunch. So it hasn't been a deal breaker, for them. Is it something that's prevented them from getting over the hump and getting to a Final Four? Maybe, amongst some other things, but it hasn't killed them. So it's whatever. They'll be all right. Overall satisfaction score for me right now with the offseason, I'm going to go. I'm torn between a 7 and an 8. I think it depends on what you value the most. I see it, man, with the retention. I'm so happy that I'm not going to have to see, Federico grab 9 offensive rebounds in 1 possession against Arkansas anymore. I'm really happy about all that. But you guys know how bullish I am. Just, get one more dude in there in the front court that can help you. And that'll, I really think if they do that, depending on who it is, I'm not saying just get a warm body, but somebody who can help you fill a role on this team, give you a little bit more depth and flexibility and insurance. And we talked about some of those names. Add one of these guys that we've been talking about, and I'm up there in 9 range. And then I'm looking at this team, and I'm going, why the hell would Trotter not have Arkansas included with Florida and Kentucky up there as a title contender? Like, what is wrong with this guy? I'd be talking about him like I talk about On3's rankings. Okay. But right now, I see where he's at. I see the vision for Arkansas. I see the potential, but I need something to push me over the top to really believe in that it's that Final Four capable thing. So there you have it. Man. Okay. Tomorrow I plan on talking offense, because I was very intrigued by what he said about some of the improvements that Arkansas can make here with their pieces, especially in half-court offense, which they struggled with last year. They were very good in transition, but then they got into situations where they were short on depth and they couldn't run as much as they wanted to. How is that shaping up? We'll talk about it tomorrow. Thursday will be defense day. And then over the weekend, we're going to start pissing everybody else off because we're going to start sizing up the SEC in several different areas and several different categories. And I'm looking forward to that. And of course, with any roster news that services, schedule news, whatever, we'll discuss that as well. So I'm going to get out of here for the day. Appreciate you guys for tuning in, rocking with us as always. If you're not subscribed to Inside Arkansas YouTube channel, please do that while you're here. If you've been hearing me say that at the end of every episode for months now and you haven't done it yet, well, why not? Why not? Don't be afraid to click a button. It's okay. We appreciate the support and the listens nonetheless. If you listen in podcast format, Pod the Palace can be found Apple, Spotify, anywhere that you get your audio. I will be back bright and early tomorrow morning about 6 a.m. As always, have a good day. We'll see you next time. It's been Curtis Wilkerson with Inside Arkansas.